The night I stood in front of 300 people at Austin General Hospital's charity gala and watched my wife's face drain of color as I clicked to the next PowerPoint slide, the one showing her in bed with her boss at the Four Seasons. I finally understood what thermonuclear meant. If you've got some time and maybe something to drink, you're going to want to settle in for this one, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just a story about catching my wife cheating. It's about how a high school history teacher who spent 8 years avoiding confrontation turned into someone who planned and executed the most calculated public revenge that destroyed 2 marriages, 2 careers, and cost 2 people almost everything they had. And honestly, I'm still figuring out how I feel about it. So, why did I wait 6 months, 184 days to be exact, between discovering the affair and pressing that remote control button at the gala? That's the question everyone asked afterward. My friends, my therapist, even Lauren's mother when she called me crying. The answer is simple. Because good revenge isn't about anger. It's about patience. And I had plenty of that. This is the story of how I found out my wife was living a double life, how I teamed up with the other betrayed spouse to plan the perfect exposure, and how we made sure the truth had consequences. It's also about what comes after, because revenge doesn't end when the lights come back on. It's about rebuilding when you realize the person you loved most was only real in one version of their life, and you weren't in it. I met Lauren in late 2015 at a friend's backyard barbecue in South Austin. I was 33 years into teaching AP US history at Travis High School, and she was 28, finishing up nursing school at UT. I remember she was wearing this ridiculous burnt orange Longhorn shirt and arguing passionately with someone about whether Austin was really still weird or if all the tech money had killed it. She had this laugh that made everyone around her want to join in. I thought she was beautiful and funny and way out of my league. I spent half the night working up the courage to talk to her. When I finally did, I made some dumb joke about the historical significance of barbecue and Texas identity formation. She looked at me like I was insane and then laughed. Did you just use the phrase identity formation at a party? I'm a history teacher, I said. It's kind of my thing. That's either really sexy or really nerdy, she said. I haven't decided which yet. Our first date was at Barton Springs on a Sunday afternoon in September. We swam in the cold water, laid out on towels in the grass, and talked for 4 hours. She told me about her plans to work in emergency medicine, to save lives, to make a real difference. I told her about my students, about how I loved watching 17-year-olds discover that history wasn't just dates and dead people, but patterns and stories that explain why the world looked the way it did. You actually like teaching, she said. It wasn't a question. I love it, I said. Is that weird? No, she said. It's rare. Most people talk about their jobs like their prison sentences. You talk about yours like it matters. It does matter, I said. She smiled. See? That's sexy. That was the moment I fell for her. Not because she thought I was sexy, though that didn't hurt, but because she understood that teaching was more than a job to me. It was who I was. We dated for 6 months before I asked her to marry me. It wasn't some grand romantic gesture. We were in my apartment on a Tuesday night, watching The West Wing, and she was half asleep on my shoulder. I just looked at her and thought, I want to do this forever. Marry me, I said. She sat up. What? Marry me. I know it's only been 6 months, but I know. I want this. You. Forever. She stared at me for what felt like 10 minutes. Then she said, You're serious. Completely. You don't even have a ring. I'll buy you 10 rings, 20. I'll buy you a ring for every day of the year if you want. But I need you to say yes first. She was crying now. You're such a dork. Is that a yes? It's a yes. We got married in May 2016 at Zilker Park, right near Barton Springs, where we'd had our first date. Small wedding. Just family and close friends. Her parents paid for most of it. They were well off, lived in Westlake in one of those houses with the perfect lawns and the automatic sprinklers. Her dad, Richard, was some kind of management consultant who'd made a fortune helping companies optimize their human capital, which I'm pretty sure meant firing people more efficiently. Her mom, Patricia, was nice, but in that distant way wealthy people sometimes are, like she was always slightly surprised to find herself talking to you. My parents drove down from Fort Worth in my dad's old Ford F-150. Dad was an electrician, Mom worked at a grocery store. They didn't have much, but they brought what they could. A check for $500 and a cooler full of my mom's homemade potato salad for the reception. I remember feeling self-conscious about the contrast when my mom hugged Lauren's mom and left a sweat stain on her expensive dress. But Lauren squeezed my hand during the ceremony and whispered, "Your family is real. That's what matters." I believed her. We bought a house in South Austin that summer. 3 bedrooms, built in the 70s, needed work but had good bones, as my dad would say. We closed in August and spent the first month painting every room, pulling up old carpet, refinishing the hardwood floors underneath. Lauren would come home from 12-hour shifts at the hospital, and we'd paint until midnight, listening to old Motown records on a cheap turntable we'd bought at a garage sale. The house was mostly mine on paper. I qualified for the mortgage on my teacher's salary, barely. $52,000 a year in Austin doesn't go far, but it was enough. Lauren contributed $15,000 to the down payment from her savings. We joked that it was our first joint investment, our first real grown-up decision. She started working ER nursing at Austin General Hospital that fall. Night shifts mostly, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 4 days a week. She'd come home exhausted, smelling like hospital disinfectant and other people's emergencies. I'd make breakfast for dinner at midnight, scrambled eggs, bacon, toast. And we'd sit at our second-hand dining table, and she'd tell me about her shift, the car accident victims, the heart attacks, the drunk college kids who'd done something stupid, the occasional save that made it all worth it. "We brought a guy back tonight," she said one morning in November, still in her scrubs, dark circles under her eyes. "Cardiac arrest in the parking lot. We coded him for 23 minutes. I did compressions until my arms felt like they were going to fall off. And then his heart just started again. Like it remembered what it was supposed to do." "That's incredible," I said. "It is," she said. "That's why I do this, for those moments." I remember thinking I'd married someone who ran toward the things most people ran away from. Someone brave, someone better than me. For the first few years, it was good. Not perfect, what marriage is, but good. I taught during the day, coached the debate team after school, spent weekends grading papers while she slept off her shifts. We had this Sunday brunch tradition, this place on South Congress with the good migas. We'd sit outside, read the paper, make fun of the tourists in their Keep Austin Weird shirts. Looking back, I think those brunches were the last time we were actually real with each other. The cracks started showing in 2019. Small things at first. Lauren got promoted to charge nurse that spring, which meant more responsibility, more stress, and a new boss, Brandon Stevens. 41, married with 2 kids, one of those guys who's aggressively charming in a way that always made me feel like I was being sold something. I met him at the hospital's holiday party that December. He shook my hand too long, called me buddy, told Lauren she was absolutely crushing it at work. She blushed. I felt something twist in my stomach, but told myself I was being insecure. Then 2020 hit. COVID. The pandemic. Lauren's hours became insane. Doubles, triples, shifts that bled into each other. She'd come home at odd times, shower immediately, barely speak. I assumed it was trauma, burnout, the weight of watching people die. I tried to be supportive, gave her space, picked up all the household stuff. She started mentioning team dinners with Brandon and other nurses. Decompression sessions, she called them. A way to process the horror of the ER. I thought it made sense. I had no idea I was already being lied to. By 2021, our physical relationship had basically died. We went from weekly to monthly to almost never. When I'd try to talk about it, she'd snap. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under, David. People are dying. I'm exhausted." And I'd back down, because that's what I always did. I was a people pleaser, conflict avoidant to a pathological degree. If someone was upset, I'd rather swallow my own feelings than make waves. In late 2021, she suggested we split our finances. "It'll be easier for budgeting," she said. "We'll keep the joint account for mortgage and bills, but I'll handle my own checking." It seemed reasonable. I trusted her completely. I should have seen it then, but I didn't. By early 2023, we were basically roommates, polite, cordial, occasionally affectionate in public. It's our 7th anniversary that March. We went to a nice restaurant. She checked her phone constantly. I noticed but said nothing. When we got home, she went straight to bed. I sat on the couch with our dog, a mutt named Scout, and thought about whether this was just what marriage became after 7 years. Comfortable distance. I told myself it was normal. I was lying to myself as much as she was lying to me. That was the last night I believed in us. I just didn't know it yet. March 2024. Tax season. I'm sitting at our dining room table with a shoebox of receipts and our laptop, trying to organize everything before the April 15th deadline. I teach history, not math, but I'm meticulous about this stuff. I log into our joint credit card account to download the statements for 2023. That's when I saw it. 4-season Hotel Austin. 3 separate charges in 2023 alone. February, June, October. Each one over 1,100. We'd never stayed there together. Hell, we'd never stayed anywhere nice together. Our last vacation was a weekend in San Antonio 3 years ago. Then the restaurants, Uchi, Justine's, Jeffrey's, places I'd heard of but could never afford on a teacher's salary. Places Lauren had never mentioned going to. My hands started shaking as I scrolled. Then I saw the Venmo transactions. Her account was linked to the card, and there in the statement were payments to B. Stevens, $200 in January, $450 in March, $800 in May, each one with a little note. Thanks, babe. Our place. Best weekend yet. I stared at the screen for probably 10 minutes. My brain was doing this thing where it was trying to find any explanation other than the obvious one. Maybe it was fraud. Maybe someone hacked her account. Maybe B. Stevens was a woman, a friend I didn't know about. And these were inside jokes, but I knew. Deep down, in that part of your gut that recognizes truth even when your mind is screaming at you to ignore it, I knew. I called in sick the next day, couldn't face my students, spent the entire day in bed, alternating between rage and this weird, numb shock. Lauren came home that evening from a shift, found me on the couch. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just a stomach bug, I lied. She nodded, kissed the top of my head, went to shower. I listened to the water running and thought about confronting her. I didn't. I wasn't ready. The next morning, April 12th, I created a burner Venmo account, searched for B. Stevens, found him immediately. Brandon Stevens. Profile picture, him in a suit with a blonde woman and 2 kids, everyone smiling. Hospital administrator. His public transactions went back years, and there, mixed in with payments to his lawn service and his kids' school, were payments to Lauren. For the weekend, dinner and more. Love you. I sat in my classroom during my planning period and threw up in the trash can. That weekend, while Lauren was at work, I started investigating. I created a secret Google Drive folder, labeled it 2024 Taxes Backup, in case she ever saw it. Started taking screenshots of everything. Venmo transactions dating back to October 2021. That was 31 months. 31 months of lying to my face every single day. I called the hospital, pretended to be Lauren, said I needed to verify my PTO days for taxes. The HR person was nice, read me the dates. They didn't match what Lauren had told me, not even close. Then I found it. I was looking for insurance paperwork in her car. She'd mentioned something about updating our policy. And I found a bank statement she'd left in the glove compartment. Austin Credit Union, an account I'd never heard of. Opened January 2022. It was a joint account. Lauren Reeves and Brandon Stevens. Regular deposits from him. $1,000 here. $2,000 there. Withdrawals for $1,100 every month, labeled rent. They had an apartment. Together. A whole second life. I drove home and couldn't even make it inside before I broke down in the driveway. Sat there in my car for an hour, crying so hard I thought I might actually pass out. Scout came to the window, pressed his nose against the glass. That's what finally got me inside. The next 2 weeks were the worst of my life. I'd get up, teach my classes on autopilot, come home, and spend hours documenting everything. I checked her location using Find My Friends. She was supposed to be at work, but the pin showed an apartment complex in West Austin. I waited until she fell asleep one night and read through her iPad, the one she left unlocked on her nightstand. The messages made me sick, not just the I love yous and the sexual stuff, but the mundane everyday shit. Brandon sending her pictures of what he was making for dinner, Lauren complaining about me. David's being weird lately, clingy. Brandon responding, just another year. When Tyler graduates, we'll be free, promise. They were planning to leave us, both of them. After his youngest graduated high school in May 2025, they'd file for divorce simultaneously and start their real life together. I was a placeholder, a paycheck, and a reliable presence in a house she didn't even want to be in. That's when something shifted in me. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was cold, calculating. I thought about all the students I'd taught over the years, about how historical figures made calculated moves. How the best revenge in history wasn't impulsive, it was strategic. I thought about how she'd lied to me, 3 times, once for every single day since the affair started, and I decided she was going to pay for every single one. I contacted a divorce attorney, Rebecca Liu, known for being aggressive. She looked over everything I'd gathered and said, "This is ironclad. The joint account with her affair partner is technically financial fraud. You could press charges if you want." I told her I wanted to wait. I wasn't ready to file yet. She raised an eyebrow. "Planning something?" "Maybe," I said. "Is that a problem?" She smiled. "Just don't do anything that'll land you in jail." Everything else, I didn't hear it. On May 1st, I sent an anonymous email to Amanda Stevens, Brandon's wife. Subject line, "You deserve to know the truth about your husband." I attached 3 screenshots, the Venmo transactions, a photo from the PI I was about to hire, and a simple message. "I'm the other betrayed spouse. We should talk." She responded within 2 hours. "Is this real? Who are you?" We exchanged 47 emails over the next 2 days. Amanda was a mess. I could tell from the way she wrote, jumping between rage and denial, and this desperate need for details. I told her everything. She told me she'd suspected something, but convinced herself she was being paranoid. She'd found a secret credit card in Brandon's gym bag months ago, but he'd explained it away as work expenses. On May 3rd, I hired a private investigator. I found her through a Reddit thread about infidelity, of all places. Her name was Patricia Chen, 54, former police detective turned PI. We met at a Starbucks on the north side. She wore jeans and a Texas Longhorns sweatshirt and looked like someone's cool aunt, the kind who'd sneak you beer at Thanksgiving. "So, your wife's fucking her boss," she said. No preamble. "Yes," I said. "And you want photos." "I want everything. Photos, video, timeline, evidence that'll hold up in court." She studied me. "You planning to go public with this?" "Maybe." "You seem like a nice guy," she said. "Quiet, respectful. Teachers usually are, but I've learned that the quiet ones are the most dangerous when they finally snap." "I haven't snapped," I said. "Not yet," she said. "But you will. That's why you're here. So, $2,000 up front. I'll follow them for a week, see what I can get." I pulled out my checkbook, hands shaking. $2,000 was a quarter of my monthly take-home pay. But I needed this. I needed proof that I wasn't crazy, that this was real. Patricia followed them for 7 days. She sent me daily updates via encrypted email. Day 1. Lauren called in sick to work at 8 a.m., arrived at the West Austin apartment at 9:15 a.m., Brandon's car already there. Patricia set up across the street with a telephoto lens and a thermos of coffee. Day 2. They went to lunch at a Thai place on North Lamar, sat in the back booth, held hands across the table. Patricia got 47 photos. Day 3. Brandon left the hospital at 2 p.m., picked Lauren up from the apartment, drove to the Barton Creek Mall. They went shopping together, bought luggage. Patricia followed them to REI after that, where they looked at camping gear. "They're planning a trip," Patricia wrote in her email. "Somewhere they can hike, Montana maybe, or Colorado." They were looking at maps. Day 4. Nothing, both at their respective jobs. I almost felt relieved, like maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. Day 5. The smoking gun. Patricia's email came through at 11:47 p.m. Check the encrypted folder. Video file labeled maytaisevening.mp4. I waited until Lauren was asleep, snuck into my car, parked in the driveway, and opened my laptop. The video was 12 minutes long, shot from across the street, zoomed in on the apartment complex parking lot. 6:42 p.m. Brandon's silver Lexus pulls into the parking lot. 6:44 p.m. Lauren's Honda Civic pulls in next to him. 6:47 p.m. They exit their cars. Brandon reaches for her immediately, pulls her close, kisses her. Not a peck. A real kiss, the kind where your whole body is involved. Her hands are in his hair. His hands are on her waist, sliding down. 6:49 p.m. They walk toward the apartment building, his arm around her shoulders, her head on his chest. 9:15 p.m. Lights turn on in a second-floor window. I can see their silhouettes moving inside. 11:38 p.m. Lights turn off. The video ends. I sat there in my car and watched it 3 times. Then I opened the photos folder. Patricia had captured everything, Lauren and Brandon kissing in the parking lot, entering the building together. His car still there at midnight, at 2 a.m., at 6 a.m. when Patricia finally left. I closed my laptop and threw up on my own driveway. The next morning, I called in sick. Spent the entire day in bed, curtains drawn, Scout curled up next to me. I couldn't eat, couldn't think. My phone kept buzzing with texts from students asking about homework. I ignored all of them. Lauren came home that evening, cheerful, smelling like her vanilla body lotion. She kissed my forehead. I watched the video alone in my classroom after school. The debate team had already left. The building was quiet except for the janitor vacuuming down the hall. I sat there and watched my wife kiss another man. Watched her laugh at something he said. Watched her look at him the way she used to look at me. And then I watched it again. And again. I wanted to memorize it. I wanted to make sure I'd never forget this feeling, never let it soften into something I could rationalize away. Then I closed my laptop and threw up in the trash can again. The next few days were a blur. I could barely eat. Lost 8 pounds in a week. My students noticed I was off. One of them, a senior named Maya who was heading to UT in the fall, stayed after class. "Mr. Reeves, are you okay?" she asked. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to say that her beloved teacher was actually a complete failure of a human being who couldn't even keep his wife interested. But I just smiled and said, "Yeah, Maya, just tired. Thanks for asking." On May 14th, Lauren came home cheerful, talked about her day, about a patient who'd come in with something hilarious, about how the new resident was terrible at IVs. I sat there eating the pasta I'd made and nearly screamed. How could she be this normal? How was she able to kiss me goodbye every morning and then spend her afternoon with him? I almost lost it, almost stood up and showed her everything on my phone. But I didn't, because I'd made a decision. This wasn't going to be a private confrontation. This wasn't going to be a quiet divorce where everyone moved on, and she got to keep her reputation and her friends and her perfect nurse savior image. I texted Amanda, "I'm ready to make them pay. Are you in?" She responded immediately, "I've been ready. Let's plan." We met for the first time on May 16th at a coffee shop called Houndstooth on the east side, far from anywhere either of us might run into anyone we knew. I got there early, sat in the back corner, ordered a black coffee I didn't drink. Amanda arrived 10 minutes late, looking around like she expected someone to jump out and accuse her of something. She was 40, blonde hair pulled into a ponytail, wearing yoga pants and an oversized UT sweatshirt. She looked like she taught Pilates or sold essential oils or did something else wholesome and suburban. She was shaking when she sat down. "I can't believe we're doing this," she said. No greeting, no introduction. "We don't have to," I told her. "You can just file for divorce and walk away." She shook her head. "My kids deserve to know the truth. Our families deserve to know. But most of all, those two deserve to feel what we felt." We sat there for 3 hours that first day, comparing timelines, sharing evidence, filling in the blanks. Amanda had suspected something for over a year, but convinced herself she was being paranoid. Brandon worked late, traveled for conferences, took weekend trips for executive training. She'd found a burner credit card in his gym bag 6 months ago. "I confronted him," she said. Held it up and asked what it was for. He didn't even blink. Said it was for work expenses that HR reimbursed separately. Some story about corporate accounting. And I believed him. I wanted to believe him. "I get that," I said. "Do you?" She looked at me, really looked at me. "Do you understand what it's like to know something is wrong, but talk yourself out of it because facing it means your entire life falls apart? Yeah, I said, I do. Over the next 2 weeks, we met 4 more times. Always different coffee shops, always careful. We created an encrypted shared drive using a service Patricia had recommended. Uploaded everything. My Venmo screenshots, her credit card statements, Patricia's photos and videos, text message recovery from old devices. A complete timeline going back to October 2021. At our third meeting, Amanda told me about the promotion. Brandon's up for COO, she said. Chief Operating Officer, it's a huge deal. 6-figure raise, seat on the board, corner office. The announcement is in September. Lauren's being considered for nurse manager, I said. More money, more respect, leadership position. Amanda smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone planning something terrible. They're going to lose it all. I'm going to make sure of it. We discussed options. Social media seemed too easy to ignore, too easy for them to delete and move on. A family gathering would be too small, wouldn't hit their professional lives. Criminal charges felt too slow, too uncertain. Then Amanda had the idea. The hospital gala, she said. October 12th. It's this huge black tie fundraiser. 300 people, hospital staff, board members, major donors, community leaders. Brandon's on the planning committee this year. He'll definitely be there. And they always invite senior nursing staff, so Lauren will be there too. That's 5 months away, I said. Exactly. We need them to feel safe. We need them to think they got away with it. And we need time to make this perfect. What are you thinking? She pulled out her phone, showed me the gala program from last year. Speeches, presentations, awards. What if we got you on the program, as a guest speaker? Local educator sharing thoughts on truth and accountability in the community. The committee loves that kind of thing. And then what? I asked, though I was already starting to see it. And then you tell the truth in front of everyone, with evidence, photos, transactions, everything. We make it impossible for them to deny. We make it impossible for the hospital to ignore. We destroy them in the most public way possible. I sat back in my chair. That's brutal. Good, Amanda said. Brutal is what they deserve. At our fourth meeting, we started planning the presentation. Amanda had graphic design skills from her marketing background before she'd had kids. We mapped out a PowerPoint, 30 slides, 8 minutes, every piece of evidence arranged for maximum impact. We start slow, Amanda said, sketching on a napkin. Title slide, something cryptic, then we ease them in. People in this room are living a lie. They'll think it's a metaphor at first. Then boom, photos, timeline, financial evidence, text messages, hit them with everything. What about security? I asked. Won't they try to stop me? I have a contact, Amanda said. Major donor to the hospital. Her kid goes to school with my daughter. She owes me a favor. I can get security brief that you're a planned speaker, that any disruption should be contained. They'll try to leave, I said. Then we block the exits until you're done. 8 minutes, that's all we need. At our fifth meeting, June 1st, we talked about the aftermath. You know this is going to blow up our lives too, I said. People are going to think we're vindictive, cruel. Let them think it, Amanda said. I'm done caring what people think. Brandon destroyed 15 years of my life. He lied to our children. He made me feel crazy for suspecting him. He deserves this. Does he deserve to lose his job? Yes. His kids' respect? That's on him, not me. What about Lauren? I asked. What about her nursing license? Amanda's expression hardened. She's been fucking a married man for over 2 years. She helped him lie to his wife and children. She opened a joint bank account with him using money from your joint account. She's not innocent here, David. She's just as guilty as Brandon. She was right. I knew she was right. But part of me still wanted to believe Lauren was somehow less culpable, somehow redeemable. I see you doing that, Amanda said. Doing what? Making excuses for her, trying to find a way to blame him more than her. Stop it. She chose this. Every single day for 943 days, she chose this. That number hit me. 943 days. I'd counted it the night before, lying in bed while Lauren slept next to me. From the first Venmo transaction in October 2021 to today. 943 consecutive days of lying. You're right, I said. I know you're right. Good, Amanda said. Because we're doing this. And we're not backing out, no matter what. We shook hands across the table. It felt like signing a contract written in our spouse's betrayal. For the next 6 months, I lived a double life of my own. I pretended everything was fine with Lauren, smiled when she came home, asked about her day, had sex with her twice because she initiated and I couldn't figure out how to refuse without raising suspicion. It felt like sleeping with a stranger, like my body was there, but I wasn't. Amanda did the same with Brandon. She told me in one of our meetings, "I'm numb. I look at him and I don't feel anything except this cold determination to destroy him." We met every Sunday morning. Our spouses thought we were at yoga and the gym respectively. We worked on the presentation. A PowerPoint slideshow, 30 slides, 8 minutes. Time-stamped photos, financial transactions, text messages, a complete timeline of their affair. Amanda had a contact on the gala committee, a major donor she knew from her kid's school. She got me added to the program as a guest speaker, a local educator sharing thoughts on truth and accountability. The committee thought it sounded inspiring. They had no idea. By September, everything was ready. I'd secured a lease on a new apartment starting October 13th. Amanda had talked to a therapist about how to tell her kids about the divorce. We'd both prepared divorce papers to be served the morning after the gala. The night before the event, October 11th, Amanda and I met one last time. "What if this destroys our lives too?" she asked. "Our lives were already destroyed," I said. "Tomorrow, we just make sure they know it." We reviewed the slideshow one final time. 30 slides, 8 minutes. Every single piece of evidence we'd gathered, arranged for maximum impact. I went home. Lauren was excited about the gala, showed me her new dress, a green thing that probably cost more than I made in a week. "Brandon says the board will be there. Great for networking." I smiled. "I'm sure it'll be a night to remember." She had no idea she was walking into her own execution. October 12th, 2024, the Four Seasons Hotel, Austin. I arrived alone at 6 p.m. in a rented tux that felt like a costume. The hotel was downtown, right on the river, all glass and limestone and Texas money. Valet parking, red carpet, photographers. I felt like I was going to throw up. The ballroom was on the 3rd floor, massive space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lady Bird Lake. Round tables with white tablecloths and elaborate centerpieces. White roses and eucalyptus, probably cost more than my monthly salary. A stage at the front with a podium and a screen that had to be 20 feet wide. Crystal chandeliers. A string quartet playing in the corner. I checked in at registration. The woman running it, somebody's volunteer mom, smiled at me. "David Reeves, you're one of our speakers tonight. We're so excited to hear from you." "Thanks," I managed. "Your laptop should be all set with the AV team. They're by the stage if you need anything." I made my way to the AV booth. 2 guys in black polo shirts were managing the sound and visuals. I'd worked with them the week before when Amanda's contact had gotten me approved as a speaker. They thought I was doing a presentation on educational partnership with the hospital. They had no idea. "All set, Mr. Reeves," one of them said. "Just plug in your laptop when you're up, hit present, and we'll make sure it's projected." "Perfect," I said. "And the remote clicker? Right here." He handed me a small remote. Next slide, previous slide, laser pointer. Pretty standard. I took it, felt the weight of it in my hand. This small piece of plastic was going to change everything. Cocktail hour started at 6:30. I nursed a whiskey sour near the windows, watching people arrive. Austin's elite. Doctors in tuxedos, their wives in designer gowns, hospital board members, pharmaceutical reps, donors whose names were on buildings. Everyone laughing, networking, performing that particular dance of wealthy people pretending they're not in a competition. And then I saw her. Lauren walked in at 6:47 p.m. I know the exact time because I checked my watch. She was wearing an emerald green dress, floor length, elegant. Her hair was up in some complicated twist. She looked beautiful. Of course she did. She was with 3 other nurses from her unit, saw me across the room, waved, smiled, mouthed, "You look handsome." I smiled back, raised my glass slightly. Brandon arrived at 6:52 p.m. with Amanda. They looked like the perfect couple, him in an expensive tux, her in a silver gown that probably cost thousands. Brandon's hand was on the small of Amanda's back, guiding her through the crowd. She was playing her part perfectly. I caught her eye for just a second. She gave me the smallest nod. We were really doing this. Cocktail hour was torture. I stood by the windows, watching the sun set over the lake, trying not to think about what was coming. A few people tried to make conversation. Someone's wife asking what I taught. A hospital administrator telling me how wonderful it was that I was speaking tonight. I nodded, smiled, said the right things. My hands were shaking so badly I had to put down my drink. At 7 everyone moved to their assigned tables. I was at table 23 near the back. Lauren was at table 7 with the nursing staff. Brandon was at table 2 with the hospital executives and board members. Amanda sat next to him, perfect and poised. Dinner started. Salads, then some kind of chicken with vegetables I couldn't identify. I couldn't eat, just pushed food around my plate. The woman next to me, a donor's wife, tried to make conversation. "Are you nervous about speaking?" she asked. "A little," I said. "Oh, don't be. We're all very friendly. And it's such an important topic, truth and accountability. The world needs more of that." I almost laughed. It really does. At 7:45, the speeches started. The hospital CEO, a tall man with perfectly white hair, welcomed everyone, thanked the donors, talked about the hospital's mission, introduced the theme of the evening, building trust through excellence. I watched Lauren at her table. She was laughing at something someone said, sipping white wine. She had no idea. Then came the presentations. A video about the hospital's achievements this year, an award for the top fundraising department. Brandon got up and gave a speech about integrity and teamwork and our commitment to excellence. "We pride ourselves on maintaining the highest ethical standards," he said, standing at the podium in his expensive tux, "on treating each other with respect and honesty, on being worthy of the trust our community places in us." I gripped my fork so hard I thought it might bend. Amanda, at table 2, was staring straight ahead, her face expressionless. At 8:15, the MC took the podium, some local news anchor, perfectly styled hair and whitened teeth. "And now," she said, "we have a very special presentation. David Reeves is a local educator at Travis High School, and he's here tonight to share some thoughts on truth and accountability in our community. Please welcome David to the stage." Applause, polite, warm, expectant. I stood up, walked to the stage. Every step felt like I was walking through water. I climbed the 3 steps to the podium, plugged in my laptop. The screen behind me lit up with the title slide, "The Double Life, a Case Study in Betrayal." People laughed a little. Probably thought it was a metaphor, some clever educational framing. I looked out at the crowd, 300 faces. I found Lauren at table 7. She was smiling, looked proud of me. Found Brandon at table 2. He was checking his phone. "Good evening," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "I'm here tonight because I believe in truth, and I have a truth to share that many of you need to hear." I clicked to slide 2. For 31 months, 2 people in this room have been living a lie. The room got quiet, that weird kind of quiet where you can hear every small sound. The clink of someone's wine glass, a chair shifting, someone clearing their throat. Slide 3 appeared on the screen behind me. A photo, Lauren and Brandon. Not in bed, I didn't need to go there, but holding hands, clearly intimate. Time stamped. June 15th, 2023. 2:47 p.m. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I heard someone say, "Oh my God." Lauren's face went white. I could see her even from the stage. She looked like she'd been slapped. Brandon stood up from table 2, started toward the stage. "Security," I said into the microphone. 2 security guards stepped forward. Amanda had arranged this through her donor contact. They'd been briefed that I was a planned speaker and to contain any disruptions. They moved to block Brandon's path. "You need to sit down, sir," one of them said. I clicked to slide 4, the timeline. October 2021 to present. Dates, locations. October 17, 2021, first Venmo transaction. Brandon Stevens to Lauren Reeves, $200. Thanks for tonight. Slide 5, more timeline. Hotels, the Four Seasons, the W Hotel, the apartment on West 5th. They had a secret apartment, I said. A whole separate life, complete with joint bank account, shared expenses, future plans. People were taking out their phones now, filming. I didn't care. Let them film. Let this live forever. Slides 6 through 10, financial evidence, Venmo screenshots blown up to 20 feet wide. Thanks, babe. Our place? Best weekend yet. Bank statements from Austin Credit Union. Regular deposits from Brandon to the joint account. Rent withdrawals for $800 monthly. Lauren was crying. Her hands were covering her face. The other nurses at her table had moved away from her slightly, creating this visible gap. Brandon was yelling, "This is insane! You're insane! This is..." But the microphone drowned him out. Slides 11 through 15, the text messages, screenshots from Lauren's iPad. I can't wait to leave him. Our real life starts next year. David doesn't suspect anything. Brandon, I love you so much. More gasps. Someone at table 12 got up and walked out. Several people followed. I kept going. Slides 16 through 20, Patricia's surveillance photos. Brandon's Lexus at the apartment complex, license plate visible. Lauren's Honda parked next to it. Timestamps. 6:47 p.m., 11:38 p.m., 6:15 a.m. Another photo, them in the apartment window, silhouettes but clearly embracing. Another, kissing in the parking lot. Another, shopping together at Barton Creek Mall, holding hands, looking at luggage. The room was chaos now. People talking, arguing, some trying to leave. But I wasn't done. Slide 21. Lauren Reeves, my wife of 8 years, lied to me 943 days in a row. Slide 22. Brandon Stevens, hospital administrator and married father of 2, abused his position and violated ethics codes. Slide 23. They planned to wait until May 2025, when his youngest child graduated high school, to divorce their spouses and start their real life. Slide 24. They used our money, mine and Amanda Stevens, to fund their affair, hotel rooms, restaurants, an apartment, weekend trips. Slide 25. This isn't revenge. I paused, looked at Lauren. She was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. Looked at Brandon. He'd stopped yelling, just stood there looking shell-shocked. Slide 26. This is the truth. I let it sit there for a moment. The whole ballroom staring at that one word, truth. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow, I said into the microphone. Amanda Stevens is filing for divorce tomorrow, and we're both filing ethics complaints with the Texas Board of Nursing and this hospital's board of directors. Thank you for your time. I unplugged my laptop. The screen went dark. For a second, nobody moved. Then the room exploded. Yelling, arguing, people rushing to leave or rushing toward the stage or pulling out their phones. I walked off the stage. One of the board members, an older man in a tuxedo, grabbed my arm. That wasn't appropriate, he said. Neither was a hospital administrator conducting an affair with a subordinate, I said. Check your ethics policies. Section 4.2, you might want to look into that. He let go. I found Amanda outside. We stood there in the October heat, both of us shaking. We did it, she said. Yeah, I said. We did. We hugged. Not romantic, not sexual. Just two people who'd been through hell together and made it out the other side. I went home, not to the house I shared with Lauren. I'd moved my stuff to the new apartment that morning. I sat on the floor because I didn't have furniture yet and listened to my phone blow up. 43 calls from Lauren, 67 texts. How could you do this? You destroyed me. I'm sorry, please talk to me. We can fix this. I blocked her number. The next 48 hours were insane. The video of the gala went viral on hospital staff group chats. Someone leaked it to local news. My principal called me in. What you did was unconventional, he said, but you didn't break any laws. Just keep it out of the classroom. My students found out. Some thought I was brutal. Some thought I was a hero. Maya, the senior, gave me a hug and said, "You deserve better, Mr. Reeves." Lauren's nursing colleagues divided. Some supported her, said public humiliation was cruel. Most distanced themselves. On October 13th, the hospital put her on administrative leave pending investigation. Brandon's promotion was canceled. The hospital board launched an ethics investigation. Amanda served him divorce papers at his office. She also posted on Facebook, After 15 years, I'm finally free from a liar. Thank you to everyone who's reached out. My kids and I are okay. 627 likes, 143 shares. By the end of October, the consequences were rolling in. The hospital fired Brandon for violating the code of conduct, inappropriate relationships with staff. Amanda's divorce filing requested full custody, citing moral fitness concerns. Brandon's attorney told him to settle to avoid a trial that would make everything public again. The Texas Board of Nursing opened an investigation into Lauren. Her attorney warned that financial fraud plus ethics violations could mean license suspension or revocation. She had to take a job as a medical assistant at an urgent care clinic for a third of her previous salary. In early November, I got a call from Lauren's mother. Lauren was hospitalized last night. Panic attack so severe they thought she was having a heart attack. She's been having suicidal thoughts. I hope you're happy. I hung up, but the call stayed with me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what her mother said, about whether I'd gone too far. I met Amanda at a coffee shop. Did we go too far? I asked. She was quiet for a long time. She's hospitalized. Brandon's kids won't talk to him. My daughter asked me if Daddy is a bad person. I don't know what to tell her. We sat there, two people who'd been so sure of our plan, suddenly not sure of anything. I don't regret it, Amanda finally said, but I can't keep reliving it with you. We need to move on separately. I understood. We'd been bound by revenge, not friendship. Without that mission, we were just strangers who'd once shared a trauma. We finished our coffee and said goodbye. I never saw her again. The fallout continued for months. In January 2025, the nursing board held a hearing. Lauren received a 1-year license suspension. She could reapply in January 2026. By then, her relationship with Brandon had imploded. They blamed each other, fought constantly. He moved to Dallas, took a lower-level admin job for 60% less pay. In March, Lauren and I met for the final divorce hearing, first time face-to-face since the gala. She looked different, smaller somehow, tired. The settlement was straightforward. I kept the house. No alimony. Texas is a no-fault state. She had to repay $32,000 from the fraudulent joint account with Brandon, payment plan over 3 years. Outside the courthouse, she stopped me. I'm sorry, she said. I know that doesn't mean anything now. You're right, I said. It doesn't. But I hope you figure out who you want to be. I meant it. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. I started rebuilding. Threw myself into teaching, started an after-school history club. Went to therapy every week, joined a running group called South Austin Runners. Adopted Scout from the house. Lauren didn't want him, said she couldn't handle a dog right now. In April, I started dating. A woman named Sarah, a librarian I met through friends. I was honest with her from the start. I'm still processing a lot. I can't do serious right now. She smiled. That's okay, I'm not in a hurry. In therapy, I finally confronted my own role in what happened. I ignored red flags, I told my therapist. I was so scared of conflict that I let myself become invisible. But you're not invisible anymore, she said. She was right. I'd spent 38 years avoiding confrontation, being the nice guy, the people pleaser who swallowed his feelings to keep the peace. And then one day, I decided peace wasn't worth it anymore. One of my students asked me in private one day, Mr. Reeves, how do you know when to fight for something? I thought about it. When staying silent costs you more than speaking up. In May 2025, exactly 1 year after I started planning the revenge, I took a road trip alone during spring break. Drove out to Big Bend National Park, camped alone under the stars, sat by a fire, and thought about everything that had happened. I thought about Lauren, who I'd loved completely and who'd loved me in only one version of her life, the version where I was the stable backup plan. I thought about Brandon, who'd lost his career, his marriage, his kids' respect. I thought about Amanda and her children, who'd had their family destroyed by two people's selfishness. And I thought about myself, about the person I'd been a year ago, passive, avoidant, willing to accept crumbs, and the person I was now, someone who'd orchestrated public humiliation, who'd destroyed careers, who'd chosen the most painful route possible. I wasn't sure which version of me was better. Maybe neither. Maybe I was just someone who'd been pushed past his breaking point and discovered he was capable of cruelty when he needed to be. It's October 2025 now. 1 year since the gala. I'm still teaching at Travis High, got promoted to department chair. Still dating Sarah. It's serious now, 6 months in. We're taking it slow. She knows everything, doesn't judge me for it. I renovated the house, painted over all the colors Lauren chose, made it mine. I run marathons now, lead the history club, have a close group of friends who stood by me through everything. I still see my therapist monthly, still process what happened. Some days I'm proud of what I did. Some days I'm ashamed. Most days I'm just neutral. It happened. It's over. I'm here. Lauren got her license reinstated this year. She's dating someone new, a pharmacist. I heard through mutual friends they're taking it slow, that she's in therapy too. Brandon is still in Dallas. His kids talk to him now, but it's strained. He's trying to rebuild. Amanda is doing well. Got her real estate license, financially stable. Kids are in therapy, but healing. She maintains a professional relationship with Brandon for co-parenting. We're all just trying to figure out what comes after the wreckage. People ask me if I regret it. The gala, the slideshow, making it public. Honestly, some days I do. Some days I wish I'd just filed for divorce quietly and moved on. But most days, I remember what it felt like to be lied to for 943 days straight. And I think, she chose this. Brandon chose this. I just made sure the truth had consequences. I'm not the hero of this story. I'm not even sure there is one. I'm just a guy who got cheated on, and instead of falling apart, I got calculated. And yeah, maybe that makes me a little cold, but it also made me free. She was living two lives, and I was only real in one of them, the fake one. The one where I was the supportive husband who worked hard and asked for nothing, and accepted whatever scraps of affection she threw my way. In her real life, the one with Brandon, the apartment, the future they were planning, I didn't exist. But in the end, I was more real than she ever gave me credit for. Real enough to see through the lies, real enough to plan, real enough to make sure that when the truth finally came out, it cost them everything. Lauren's living her life now. Brandon's living his, Amanda's living hers, and I'm living mine. We're all just trying to figure out what comes after betrayal, after revenge, after the dust settles and you're left standing in the wreckage wondering who you became. And honestly, that's enough. Someone once told me that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. I think I finally got there. I don't hate Lauren anymore. I don't hate Brandon. I don't even think about them most days. When I do, it's just a distant memory of a different life, a different version of me who thought love meant sacrificing yourself completely. Now I know better. Love is supposed to make you bigger, not smaller. It's supposed to add to your life, not erase it. And if someone can't see that, if someone can look you in the eye and lie for 943 consecutive days, then maybe they deserve to face the truth in front of 300 people on a Saturday night in October. Maybe that's cruel. Maybe I'll spend the rest of my life wondering if I went too far. But it feels like peace.